Good morning, everyone. I don't think so. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Much better. So today is a special day for two reasons. Because every day is a special day. But especially because we have a lecture followed by our lunch and learn. So it's a very, very special day. So the first reading is going to be from the book Happy Life, from Divaldo Pereira Franco and Joana de Angelis. But before we do the first reading, the theme of the month is going to be our spiritual neighborhood. So it's going to be an interesting theme throughout the month. And today we have our first lecture, and it's going to be given by Marcos Diclei, and he'll be talking how do we shape our future. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I need that so badly. Okay, so I'll be doing the first reading, and I'll follow with initial prayer, and then Marcos will welcome Marcos here. Contain your impulses, which arise from uncontrolled instincts and act under the command of reason. It is true that good feelings can melt the ice of rational logic. However, it is often the case that the coldness of emotion or its aggressive madness requires the vigilance of reason. Head and heart must act together, providing the advantages of balance and measure to create a healthy life. Listen with your feelings and act with your reason, keeping the two in just the right proportion. So let's now fill with our hearts this beautiful day that God brought us all together here. And let's ask Him to give us the opening of our hearts and our minds to understand the lecture that we'll be listening today. And we ask God to bless our friend Marcos and to give him the clarity for him in order so we can learn everything that he has to bring us today. And be with us. So be it. Marcos, please. Thank you.
Okay. There are a few seats here on the front, folks. If you may come and sit closer, right in the middle, right there. And welcome everyone to the Toronto Spirit Society. Welcome to everyone watching us online. It's always a great joy to be here, and always a great responsibility as well, because we are not here as teachers. We are here as apprentices, and with every lecture we stretch ourselves a little bit and we learn a little bit more. And today, as Sandra said, it's an important topic, because we all wonder about the future and we struggle in the present, worrying about the future, and sometimes that turns into a snowball and we don't see the progress. We often talk about spirituality and spirit and the realities of the spiritual world. We talk about inner transformation, but we don't stop to think about what is happening around us sometimes and inside us, and how do we change those mental patterns, those spiritual patterns. That's why the theme of the month is about spiritual neighborhood. It's really to drive that awareness and hopefully give us some tips and tools that can help us to improve. Bless you, Sandra. Now, it's a big question. How do we shape our future? And you may expect a list of top 10 things to make your future shiny, right? I don't have that. But before we go into a few things that we have here from Emmanuel, who is a spiritual benefactor, who was the mentor or the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, one of the greatest mediums that we had on this planet. He has some great tips for us. There's nothing from me here because anything that comes from me wouldn't really work. But before we talk about how do we shape our future, I think the question behind the question is, what is the future that we aspire actually? What are we wishing for our future? And some of us, we even avoid thinking about it because we don't like planning, because every time we plan it before, it never works, and we get frustrated, and that creates pain, and we don't like pain, so we avoid planning. We live one day after the other. And that's as far as it goes in terms of thinking about our future. And sometimes our future is what we see around us. Right? Speaking about our spiritual neighborhoods, who knows about social networks here? Raise your hands. Okay, those who don't know what social network is, who knows about Facebook here? Raise your hands. Come on. Okay, there are some people here who are not on Facebook. Impresses me. But sometimes that's as far as it goes about thinking of our future. It's really the social networks, right? We look at so many accomplished people and happy people posting about their vacation, posting about their degrees and diplomas, their new job, their new car, their beautiful house. So many great things. And then we look at us and we feel miserable, right? Because we have that tendency, the grass is always green on the neighbor's house, right? Ours is never good enough. But sometimes that's what social media creates in us, right? We only see the great things. We see those skilled people and we compare with our skills, those who are beginners or struggling to get a few things done or to learn certain trades. And we say, I'll never be able to do it. Being in sports, in arts, in any professionals, right? We always tend to put ourselves down and we compare with the greatest people. And why do we feel miserable that way? Right? Why do we aspire those material things and feel miserable because we don't have? We could come up with a long list here. Right? Selfishness and pride and vanity, you name it. Right? I know everyone's thinking something. But everything boils down to one thing. That we forgot that we are immortal beings. We forgot that we are immortal spirits. Okay, why does that matter? Right? What difference does that make? It makes all the difference. Because when we remind ourselves that we are immortal spirits, we put things in a different perspective. Does it really matter that I don't have that house? That I don't have that car? That I don't have those muscles? Does it really matter that person is a superstar, an Olympic athlete, and I can barely kick a soccer ball when I go and play soccer with my co-workers, right? It put things in a different perspective. We also understand that those accomplished people, they may have acquired those skills and habits and talents across innumerable existences. We see children playing piano at 5 years old age, like a professional, right? We see children painting or great in sports and doing marvelous things, right? And they become accomplished adults, and we compare ourselves with them. They're in a different level. Why? Because God favored them? No, because they worked hard to acquire that throughout innumerable existences. And we are just starting, right? So we want to compare ourselves with someone who went through a lot of hardship, and we want that in a blink of an eye, It's not going to happen. So understanding that we are immortal beings, it helps us to put things in a different perspective. That's where Spiritism can help us. Because Spiritism brings us the awareness of the spiritual world and help us to understand who we truly are. Help us to understand where we came from, why we are here. What is the purpose of our life? Is really to make money and to, share with everyone else how great we are on social media? But there is more to it. Spiritism can even help us to understand where we are going to after we die and in which conditions. But that in itself, it's not enough. Knowing all that is not enough. It is important that we feel it. Sandra just read the message at the very beginning, right? Mind and heart together. We must know, we must understand, we must feel it, and we must put into action. So when we think about our future, it is important that we put those things in perspective, because that changed the trajectory completely. Now, we may think about our future in the next couple minutes. Maybe people are thinking about the future in terms of having the lunch, and I am between the lunch and yourselves. So that's as far as the future will go. Some people may be thinking about the future the next couple months. Others may think about the next couple of years. And others may think about the next couple of existences. Whatever your future looks like, whatever our future extends, how far it extends, there is one key item that can really change things for good or for bad. And that are our thoughts. That are our thoughts. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And again, as the message from the little book that Sandra read spoke about our minds and our hearts, our thoughts are not only our ideas, right? Thinking, like Shakespeare, to be or not to be. It's not about reflecting only. Yeah, it is about that. But it is also about our ideas, our aspirations, but also about our feelings, our sentiments. Again, mind and heart together, right? So that is what André Luiz and Emmanuel on their spiritual works explore tremendously, explaining all the mechanics of how that works. And we are going to touch on a few things in this very few minutes. Dr. Stephen Covey, who is a renowned professional of the psychology field, he studied for decades the different philosophies and religions and belief systems around the world. And he came up with what he called the 7 habits of highly effective people, which is a collection of the commonalities across all these belief systems. I love the book. It's not a Spiritist book, but I really encourage you to read if you're struggling with habits formation. Great book. And one of the things he says, very linked to what we are talking about here, is that the things, or better saying, everything is created twice. First, in our thoughts. That's the mental creation. The ideas, right? Second, we make them happen and create them in the physical world. It couldn't be more true, right? So we got to remind ourselves of that. If we are planning to create our future, it all creates in our mind to begin with, right? But we have news. Interesting enough, he said, everything starts in our mind. That's our physical creation, in our thoughts. Then it is created in the physical world. That's what he says. But André Luiz, in his works, through the blessed hands of Chico Xavier, he says that even our thoughts, even the creation that is in our thoughts, can be considered a physical creation. It is reality. What we create in our minds, it is actually concrete, real. It's not with the matter that we touch and feel, but it's a different kind of matter. André Luiz talked about the thought matter or the mental matter. To simplify things, what we create with our thoughts and our minds has an analogous atomic formation as the atoms that creates this world that we perceive. And that is really impressive. Even the sciences, if we think in the past decades, have been saying that matter as we know and touch and feel is actually a condensation of energy. What are our thoughts? Also a condensation of energy. So science and philosophy and religious body of knowledge like Spiritism are converging, just not in the way most of the scientists still understand, but we are coming together, right? So our thoughts are energy, and energy, if condensed, can become matter, right? Can become matter as we know, or can become other forms of matter. Most of us know already that we have a spiritual body, which is not composed by the matter, the flesh and bones that we are formed, but it is a less dense matter, but it's still a body, right? So those thoughts are expressed in the physical world, and we can sense them when we'll go through it. Another beautiful thing that André Luiz described in the book Mechanics of Mediumship is, he says that we are immersed in the thought of God, or in the breath of God. That all the energy that exists in the world, all the matter that exists in the world, comes from a primitive matter that comes from God, the universal cosmic fluid. And the evolved spirits, they can manipulate that to create the microcosm and the microcosm. And we are in between. And we also take that matter from God, and we manipulate that matter with our thoughts. And that's why we hear the term being co-creators, and Manuel used that a lot. And Paul of Tarsus spoke about it, that we are co-creators with God, because we are immersed into that matter with God, and we can create. We can create blessed and great things and positive things, and we can create things that are not that positive, not so great. It really depends on us. The brain, as André Luiz described, can be considered as a dynamo. In a simple term, as an energy generator. And when we think about our brain, it's not only our physical brain. Let's think about our brain in this spiritual body as well. Or we can even go further. We can say that we as a spirit, right? We are generators of energy. And we can do a couple things beyond the generating energy. We generate our energy and we spread around. But we can also receive the energy from others and absorb that energy from others. We can also, through the phenomenon of induction, I can influence someone else's thoughts, and vice versa. And we can also transform the energy. So we'll go through a few cases of this to better understand. It can be a bit complicated, and we'll do our best to keep things as simple as possible and applicable as possible, because this is extremely important for us. Now think about this generator that we have, that sends, receives, transforms, and is induced by others. There is one control button that we develop over the millennia to get to where we are today, and that is the will. And we will see why the willpower, it's so important to regulate this generator. We'll understand why in a minute. Are you guys still with me? Okay. Leave the lunch there for a few minutes. One of the first things, so there's 4 things that I really hope we can understand a little bit. Right? And here's the first thing that we wanted to tell everyone. According to Emmanuel in the book, roteiro in Portuguese, for English would be guide. I don't think there's translation yet. But he says, as we already started to mention from André Luiz, that we are immersed into a sea of mental currents. Think about it. Every single one of us right now, and those also in the internet, we are thinking and reflecting on these words that I'm saying right now. Or we are thinking about the work tomorrow, Monday. Or we are thinking about the Toronto Raptors game at night, or Corinthians, or Flamengo, or about the codfish over there, or the pile of clothes that we need to iron later on today. We always have something in our minds. All those waves, that is all energy, and it's going around. It's all going around. So we are immersed into a sea of waves from everyone. And the first thing for us to understand is we are a Wi-Fi device. Our brain, this generator, is exactly like our cell phones. It's Wi-Fi. If someone rings your phone, it goes to a Wi-Fi tower and finds the signal of your device and rings it. And our brains are on all the time. And we are capturing, absorbing, and sending all the time. You're all here, and we don't see what's happening, but the spirits see. Because that is matter, and they see it. We'll see that in a moment. Why this is important? Because without noticing, in the words of Emmanuel, we ingest this energy. We ingest all these thoughts. That's his word. Ingest is a powerful word. We absorb them. We take them in. Right? Knowing or not. Even if we ignore, right? It's happening. And then every single moment we project around us all the forces that we have inside of us. So we are absorbing, we are projecting everything that is inside us. And this is something that works like gravity. Even if we refuse to believe in gravity, it is there. And this generator, the power of our thoughts and these mental waves, they are there. The scientists measure to some extent the mental waves that we emit. They may have a bit of a hard time to get the responses and capture everyone's mental waves and understand that we are all always on and capturing it, but it is a reality. And there is evidence of it. Right? So that's the number one thing. The scary thought that I had when I read this in this book was the following. There is a law of affinity that, according to Emmanuel, is an unbreakable law. We cannot break it. Law of affinity. So the mental waves that we generate and send around, or the mental waves that we receive, they will find similar mental waves. Like the radio frequencies that will only come to my radio if I set in the right frequency. So if we are vibrating with something negative, everyone else is vibrating also negative, our minds will connect around that particular topic. The same is true if we are thinking positively. Our positive thoughts will spread around and will reach those who are thinking positively, and vice versa. Those thinking positively will come to me. If I am vibrating on that frequency, we will connect. And it's inevitable. It just happens. Right? Like someone calling your cell phone, If your cell phone is on, it's going to ring. It's there. It's listening and will connect. Right? You can turn your cell phone off. We cannot turn ourselves off. Well, what if I commit suicide? Well, you turn your body off, but you are still on. Sorry to tell you. Right? We are immortal spirits. Let's remind ourselves of that. So we are connected all the time. And André Luiz talks about mental reflection. Bless you. Mental reflection is a phenomenon that all those energy that we generate and send around, they will find those people who are vibrating in the same wavelengths, in the same vibrations. And that energy will be absorbed by them. It will acquire their energy and vibrations and thoughts around the same, and will come back to me. Now, if I am talking to Otto here and thinking about sanding my deck and doing some home renovations, that I'm thinking, and I send that thought, and he also thinking about the same, and he has some knowledge of it, so his energy and excitement to do it will add into my desire, and it will come back to me. And what's going to happen? I will be more excited about it, because it adds up. Okay, how many people we have here in the room? 50 people. Imagine that everyone is excited by home renovations and doing your decks. Simple seed example, okay? But bear with me. And I send my thoughts. I want to send my deck. I'm excited about it. It doesn't matter if you saw my social media post or not. It's on my thought. And my thought will travel and will reach your minds. You will unconsciously absorb that and add your own excitement about home renovations. And that will come back to me. Look at the amount of energy that is coming back to me. Right? Adding up to my wish to do something. Isn't that a powerful thing? And that is energy. Now let's think about the opposite. Let's think about the opposite. I have a thought that life is not worth. I am tired of suffering and bullying and this and that. I am a failure, everything. All negative thoughts. And I'm putting these thoughts, I'm bringing them to the world. And they travel around. Who are these thoughts going to find? People who are thinking the same thing. And if you look at the statistics or the World Organization, Health Organization about suicide, you see the statistics around depression and suicide are tremendous. This thought will find those people. They will add all their weight, right? Everything that is on their shoulders will accumulate, and the law of reflection will bring that back to me. Imagine the negative charge coming to me. Now, can we see why our thoughts are important to shape our future? Just this, it was alarmingly shocking to me, because we take it for granted. And it can be a shocking news, but it can be a blessed news. Because if we are able to channel our thoughts in a positive way, look at the amount of support that we receive. Not even thinking that we are immersed in the thought of God, in the matter of God. So God knows everything that we are struggling and thinking without even asking. We are never alone. We are never abandoned. This in itself, it's a source of consolation for us, no matter what are the struggles that we are going through. But now, thinking that we are part of an ecosystem of people who are thinking, vibrating the same, if I just tune the right channel, I have a tremendous amount of energy. Right? So to me, this is already connecting with the second thing that I want to bring to us. And it's actually, it's called resonance. It's the phenomenon of resonance, which you have a system. Let's think about a system, and another source of energy connects to this system the same frequency. The energy of that system, if the frequency connects with the frequency of the system, can go to its maximum or up to the infinite. That's what's happening with us. In simple terms, once in a while I go to the park with my girls, and they love to sit on the swing, and they ask me, Dad, can you push us on the swing? This is an example of resonance. They sit on the swing, right? And for those who have gone to a swing in the park or have pushed someone on the swing, right? You keep just going up and down. What is the best time for us to push someone to make sure they go really high and really fast? That's when we like, right? What is the best time? When they're going, when they're coming, when they are coming. But if when they are coming I push them, I'll just take all the energy of the system, right? So it's the wrong moment. It's really when we stop for a fraction of a millisecond and start to fall again. That's the time when we go and push. So that's an example of resonance, as if the little girl on the swing is the system that is oscillating at a certain frequency, and I am the external energy source vibrating on the same frequency, and I do that push exactly at the same time, all the time. What's going to happen? She may just fly away or just do a 360, right? We don't want that to happen, so we just take it easy. Sometimes we skip. But that's the phenomenon of resonance. In a perfect system, if you keep vibrating at the same time, the energy goes up to infinite. If in a perfect system, it's never going to happen, in a real scale of world, but the energy will go up to its maximum. If we're curious enough, you can Google the Tacoma Bridge in Washington in 1960. They built a bridge, but the bridge didn't have space for the wind to go through. So what happened? On a very stormy night, windy night or day, the wind actually hit the bridge in the same frequency that the bridge was built. Every material has a frequency. So the wind hit the bridge in the same frequency, and what happened? The energy starts to accumulate on the bridge, and the bridge starts to oscillate. A concrete bridge. And if you look at the video, the bridge looks like a piece of rubber. It's flexible. It's like a wave going side by side, twisting and turning until it breaks. That's a clear phenomenon of resonance. And what we just described is exactly the same thing. When our thoughts go and reach out everybody else in our spiritual neighborhood that doesn't have a limit, it just goes and gathers all the energy and comes back. Whatever is in our mind will increase up to our limit, as high as it can go, if positive or negative. This is very, very powerful. And in itself, a good reason for us to start paying attention on what we are thinking every day. Right? So, if we think about gratitude for what we have, who we are, if we think about love and how fortunate we are, that goes around and comes around. Right? If we complain about the things that we don't have, complain about our partners, our family, our job, if you criticize, if you look at the politics, what's happening, and only add criticism, that all came back to us. It's not going to make things better. I'm not saying that we have to agree with everything that is happening. I'm not saying that we have to be quiet and not fight for our rights. That's not what we are saying here. It's really about our attitude, what we are doing with our thoughts, because that's reality. And that will just boost whatever energy we have inside. That's what we are saying. Okay? And we all have a central desire that usually guides everything else that we are thinking. Right? And that's, I'll get into this later on. But I want to make sure we understand these 2 points because they are crucial. André Luiz also talked about about thought forms. That the thoughts that we have, as we said at the beginning, they become concrete forms around us. Everybody, most people here probably read the book Nosolar, right? Or saw the movie, actually. If you haven't, please do. The book The Messengers. I think there's a movie coming. Shouldn't say, I should say, but it's coming.
Nosolar 2.
Nosolar 2, yes. And André Luiz described the umbral. Everybody heard about the umbral. When we die, we go to a place of suffering and etc. And we think the umbral is over there. No, it's over there. No, it's there. No, it's south. Umbral is somewhere. Umbral is a mental creation. Our thought forms create the environment around us. An environment that is dark and cold and dry and it smells bad, with bad energy, with monsters, because we feel so bad about the mistakes that we did in life and we don't allow us to forgive ourselves. We transform ourselves in monsters. We change our shape. And sometimes we no longer talk anymore because we don't even have mouths. So we create those mental images. And if you ever heard about the mediumship meetings where the mediums gather around to help spirits, there are many spirits that come to those mediumship meetings in these circumstances. They think they are monsters. Sometimes they don't talk. Are they really monsters? No. But it's a mental creation. And even as incarnate, we also give forms to those thoughts that we have of guilty or that we deserve suffering, and we create images around us. There was a cartoon that I can remember in the past, in my infancy, that there was a character that has always a rainy cloud on top of him. Wherever he went, he was always complaining, right? And always raining on top of him. That is that. We create those mental images, and whoever we are, it's always bad. Because we say it is bad. There's no way out. It's a mental creation, and it becomes the mental creation. Sometimes the mediums who have some abilities, they can smell. Sometimes it smells bad because those are the mental exteriorizations. André Luiz, I was talking about the Nosolar, when he comes too close to Earth, they see the darkness, they see the smell, and he asks why, and sees the monsters and say, why is that? Those are mental creations of the people on Earth. Our mental creations. Right? We externalize those things and they are real. And sometimes we don't even need to be extensive mediums because we are all mediums at the end of the day, right? Aren't we all Wi-Fi enabled? Guess what? In simple terms, it means we are all mediums. We may not see or hear, but we feel. And sometimes we get together with some people, at least I have that experience, you don't feel well. It's such a heavy energy. It feels like a toxic energy, right? You keep thinking negative things. I wonder if sometimes I am like that to others. So it's a self-reflection here. But that's what happens. That's energy is exteriorating or externalizing and impacting others, even the incarnate ones. The discarnate ones don't even tell, because they see those thought forms. Everything that we're thinking here about the soccer game, about the fight that we had in the morning, or about tomorrow, they see in our minds. Or the codfish, they see too. Right? So thought forms, that's very important. And sometimes we externalize that energy that we take things as silly things. For example, I always heard my mom saying, oh, such a person has an eye that he just came to my house and look at that flower. Look at the flower today. It's dead. Right? Have you heard about it? You don't want to people to touch the flowers, or some people get close to the flowers, they just boom, die. That's our energy. That's reality. That's what we're talking about here. It's not fairy tale. It is real. It is real. So that's the third thing that I want us to remind or understand. Thought forms. Thought forms, they are real. And the fourth and the last thing is what André Luiz calls the mental house. And he goes into a beautiful description about nervous system and the brain, and how the brain itself is divided in three main areas. And the spiritual body follows the same three main areas. But then he describes from a thought perspective that our mind, our energy generator, is like a castle. And imagine that there are 3 floors in this castle. 3 floors. Right? In the lowest floor, where the vibrations are the longest, right? More attached to who we really are, our imperfections, the earth, is really where the habits or the automatism stay. Things that we do without noticing. And we start talking about the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? That book talks a lot about things around this that is nice to understand. But we do things automatically. So the first floor of that castle or for mental house is where those things are. Those are the things that we have been doing for centuries or millennia, and we don't think anymore. So think about how it was hard for some to learn how to drive, right? And then after a while, you no longer think. Or to start riding your bike, after a while, you no longer think. You just do it. And that's how our thoughts are. They are just happening. And we don't really think about what we are doing, what we are saying, what we are feeling. We just do. So that's the lowest level of our mental house, right? And we are somehow slaves to those. And we are addicted sometimes to the way we think, to our central teams. And one of the things I just, as a self-experiment for the lecture, I posted on Facebook a 1 week of no complaining challenge. So let's see what comes back. Again, sterilized on Facebook, social network. I'm not talking about thoughts here, right? It came back a lot of people. I'm up for it. Let's do it, right? So just an experiment for you to see. And that's why when we post things on social media, we should really think, what is the effect that this post is going to have on others? How is this going to help? Right? How my complaint is going to help someone on social media? Am I going to be a Christian and try to ingest positive energy on people? Or I'm just sharing, right, my mental garbage here, and I'm trying to help myself, but I don't care about the others? It's hard. Because that's how we do automatically. So that challenge was really to not complain. It is hard because we are addicted to complaining. I can speak about myself, just complaining. So that whole week, 2 things surfaced. Complaining while I was driving, traffic, that's number 1 complaint. I just catch myself complaining. Look at that guy. Look at that. Like, it's always, right? And then at home with the kids and the mess in the house. Where is this? Where is that? My stuff. Just the 2 things that came on top. There's certainly a list. If you want to know more, ask Michelle. She's watching. She has the full list of complaints. My wife. But I'll share the top 2 items with you right now. But we are a slave to those things, right? And I always remember a story that is on Acts of Apostles from Jesus. And Jesus was traveling with the disciples, right, just walking around the nature in the road. And all of a sudden the disciples, they saw a dead animal. They saw a dead dog. And the dog was already decomposing. And when flesh decomposes, it stinks badly. It smells, right? So the disciples immediately, oh my gosh, what is that? This dog stinks terribly. And they all complaining around. And what was that? Oh no, that dog. Oh, everyone. Them just contaminate everyone, right? The 12 complaining about this stink dog. And then imagine Jesus looking at that, right? And Jesus come to them and stop, look at the dog. They're all running away from the dog because it smells so bad. And Jesus stop, look at the dog, and says, "What great set of teeth has this dog?" Right? And I stop and say, wow. Right? Who would do that? What was his point with that? Right? Because there are things that we really don't like it, and that's okay. Some things are not pretty. But what was his teaching at that moment? To look at that dog and say, what great set of teeth had that dog? It's just that everything that exists is a creation of God and has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. And we do have a choice to see the purpose and the beauty on everything that is around us and in us. Or we can see that things that we just don't like because of our personal preferences, because of our internal thoughts and feelings. He was just teaching them that in the most negative situations, there is always something positive out of it. Because God is, in the times of green energy and recycling, God is the master of recycling. Because He or she recycles everything negative that we do into goodness. Because we are destined to goodness, to happiness. Remember the Spirit's book, question 625, that Jesus is our model. One day we'll get there. Even the worst criminal on earth, one day will become as perfect as Jesus. It's powerful. How about us? We too. So when we look at someone, like the disciples look at the dead dog and say, Jesus, this is not going to, this is waste, this is garbage. Nope, it is not. So I was talking to Sandra and making a joke here. The sum of the story is everything that we say, we see, that is really perceived as negative, it is because we have that in us. It's a matter of focus. What are you looking at? You can look at your children and say, you are terrible, you're failing in math, this score is really bad. Or you can look at the things that are positive, giving them encouragement, and then try to work on the things they have to improve. Right? So the disciples were wearing these lenses that came from their hearts. Were not external lenses, were this. But Jesus was wearing those cool lenses. Right? Imagine if Jesus looked at us when He was being crucified with these lenses. He would just annihilate the planet. You know, these people, they have no way to fix them. Destroy everything. Thank God He was with these lenses. And then He says, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. And so is everything in life. Right? When we go to our offices and have our challenging boss or a challenging team, right? Or we go home and complain about our partners, our kids, our neighbors, our house, complain about ourselves, we feel failure. Let's remember that it is because we are picking to look at those things. And it takes training. It takes training. The second floor, to advance and finish our thought of the mental house, is the floor where the will resides. The will, or the willpower for us to understand, or the effort. So for us to move from that negative thought pattern to a positive and more evolved, it takes effort. Because we have been thinking on things for centuries, for millennia. How can we change this from one day to the other? How can we come to the Spiritist Center and expect that on Monday I am a different person? It's not going to happen. It takes more than that. And if you say, I'm going to the Catholic Church, I'll go there, it doesn't happen. And I'll go to the Baptist Church, it doesn't happen. And I'll go to a Buddhist temple, and it doesn't happen because it takes effort. With everything that we study, again, our minds and hearts together, we need to feel and transform in action. Things just don't work like that. It takes effort. It takes effort. And I was listening to Divaldo Franco the other day on an interview with Haroldo Dutra Dias. He was saying that the workers, those who are serving Christ, when they get to the spiritual world, the spirits will see their healing wounds, cicatrices, scars. Their spiritual scars, because it takes effort. Right? It's the inner transformation that we go through, and we have to remove a few things. And when we remove a few things, it may leave a scar. We may need to make choices that may hurt us in the short term for a benefit in long term. Marcio spoke last week about the narrow door. That's exactly what we're talking about. Right? So the floor in the middle is really the wheel. Remember the engine, the generator, the power generator for brain, sending, receiving, transforming, inducing others and ourselves. The wheel is the control key, because I may receive all this negative vibration, you may receive all those negative vibrations, but if you have been exercising your will, you can choose not to connect to them, and they just drop. Like a computer on the internet, there's millions and billions and trillions of data going around, and they know which computer to go to. They know which browser to go and open because of the address over there. There's an address on every computer. Whoever's sending, it goes to that particular address. The same thing is our thoughts, as if our will would determine if I'm going to open that email or not. Those are emails flying around. Am I catching this and opening this one? Or I'll just let it pass. Whereas my mother used to say, right, or my dad, enter from one side and leaves from the other side. I had a colleague who was a customer care professional, and she would wear her headset as every day with the microphone, and she told me once, every time a customer starts to give me praise and appreciate the work that I do, I keep the headset on the left side, and I mentally imagine that those things go into my heart. But if it's a customer who's being really rude and saying bad words and things that are offensive, I'll just shift it to the right side and let those things go to the garbage. It was an interesting mental exercise, right? Very simple. This is what we're talking about here. There's a way around. There is a tool that we can leverage to protect ourselves or to choose and stop this uncontrollable wave that is going around. And that's the will. But that takes effort. And the last floor of the mental house that we are not going to spend much time is really where our high aspirations are. Right? Our conscience that pushes forward to our destiny of happiness, to our spiritual life, to the spiritual evolution, right? That's where those noble sentiments are. And as in every house, we always have a few places in the house that we spend more time, right? In the kitchen, or in the living room, in a room. There are places that we rarely go. The guest room, for example, we rarely go there. So where are we spending more time in our mental house? Are we spending any time whatsoever in the will floor, making effort, trying to change? Or are we on the first floor, just letting the automatism take charge? Like a sailboat in the middle of the ocean, in the high sea, we now control. The winds will blow or take that boat anywhere. Is this how we are expecting to change our future, to have a better future? If we are living our life like a sailboat, I'm sorry to tell us, but we are fated to crash in a rock or just get lost unless we take charge, right? So that was the fourth and the last thing that I wanted to bring. And the will is something that takes exercise. A lot of people here go to Good Life Fitness, other gyms to exercise our muscles and body, which is important to our health. But we gotta get used to exercise our will, to stop and make decisions and change the thought pattern that we have. How do we do that? One of the most important things is making silence. Because you're so busy with things in life and TV and computers and music and people around us, right? All the time. And even when we are practicing public lecture, we feel uncomfortable just creating silence. We are uncomfortable with that. So we need to make silence so we can hear our thoughts. Right? Marcos spoke before about inner transformation, Teresa as well. If we don't get to know ourselves, if we don't know the patterns of thought, we can't change them. It's the boat that's just going around. Right? Meditation is something that helps tremendously, and I always have a hard time with meditation. But there's an app for that. Seriously, I found an app for it. Yeah, it actually can help. It's called is a Headspace. I love it. So I am day 4. I skipped the 2 days. I'm back catching up with day 4. 10 minutes a day. It's a guided meditation. It's just great for us to observe the thoughts, those form thoughts, right? Thought forms that comes to our minds, and just take a statistic of what's coming around our heads and say, you know what, maybe I need to start changing this, right? And that silence will also help us with the most important thing, prayer. If you're not used to pray, even if you are in the office, if you don't have you go to the washroom. While you are in the washroom, you can pray. Won't God be offended if I pray in the washroom? Of course not. He knows we have to go to the washroom. But it really matters what's in our heart and our minds, right? So prayer, it's a way to connect with higher vibrations. Not only with our guardian angels, who is always there, and we never talk to him or her. It's a good way to start, have that relationship. But praying, connecting with those positive vibrations. Remember, it goes around and comes around. Right? So meditation helps, praying helps, in reflecting on our thoughts. In the Spirit's book 619a, St. Augustine recommends, at the end of the day, think about your whole day, review your day. What are the things that I did that I feel good about it and I should do it again tomorrow? What are the things that I did today? They're not so great, I should avoid them tomorrow. And I recently read the biography of Benjamin Franklin, and I just love this. He, interesting enough, he made a personal commitment to spiritual enlightenment. And he made a list of 13 virtues that he wanted to develop. So he put a little calendar, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, to Sunday, right? And his system was, one of the things here is sincerity, right? So if I fail to be sincere with someone on Monday, I will just put a dot here, right? And with the same, at the end of the day, he would review that. At the end of the week, he would review that. And he would stick to one of those things until he improved it enough to take the second one. Because if we start with 13 things, guess what? We've got nothing done. So maybe we should start with, let's stop complaining. Once we feel that, yeah, it's improving, now I can take a second one, right? But what is this? Will exercise, effort. It's not going to come for granted. We are not used to this, right? But those simple things, they can go a long way to help us in change our mind patterns. So I hope that this was useful to you all, and I wish everyone a blessed week and a great lunch.
Thank you so much, Marco. A lot of food
For thought.
for thought. A lot of food for thought. I think we can all take something or a few things that Marco said today and truly exercise them on our week. And if we can just take one, choose whatever you think it's the one good for you to be exercising. Complaining was one for Marco, but there are many, many other ones. So I really wish everybody to take advantage of this time to reflect on anything that needs improvement. We don't have much time for questions and answers because today we have the lunch, the real food, not for the thought, but for the body. So we can open for maybe one or two questions. Anybody or comment? Anybody wants to say anything? No one on the internet? We have one question.
Oh yeah, I can sell some of them for you.
That is an easier way out. Well, thank you so much. And we'll be opening for... one comment? Question?
You speak a lot about Emmanuel. I know you use a lot of his books to prepare the lecture. If you could suggest which books people should go and read to reinforce what you're talking about.
Okay. Actually, the two of them that I have here is from André Luiz, No Mundo Maior. In the Greater World. We do have in English here, if I'm not mistaken, and he talks about the mental house here.
We do have it.
And Action Reaction talks a lot about our central themes and change your thoughts. The Mechanics of Mediumship from André Luiz as well. It's the core of what we discussed. And the book from Emmanuel is Roteiro. There's no English translation yet. If it would be, it would call Guide, but it's Roteiro. And obviously the Spirit's book that we study on Wednesdays here.
Yeah.
Plug for my brother Marcio there. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. We are now going to be... thank you for everybody who's been watching us via web TV. And we'll be getting the kids for our passes today. And before you go, if you do decide to stay for lunch, talk to one of our volunteers at the front. This is one way that we can help TSS to maintain the house, so it's very important for us that to have all of you here. So we're gonna put down the lights. And we ask the people who are on the table. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.
We're going to ask the people who are